Whoever controls the Adriatic controls the fate of Rome. Imagine vast rafts descending from the forests of the Carnic Alps downriver, carrying timber to feed the shipyards of Ostia. Think of the Dalmatian deposits, where barrels of pitch and copper ingots depart to forge weapons and ships in the workshops of Capua. From the Gargano, meanwhile, an even more precious cargo sets sail: salt, vital for preserving food for dozens of Roman legions. But this vast trade network has a weak point. Every convoy passes near the ports of Brundisium and Taranto, separated by just 100 kilometers of sea. A single attack by Illyrian pirates or the ships of the young and ambitious King Philip V of Macedonia would be enough to shatter this fragile balance. Rome knows it well. This is no longer a matter of local rivalries, but of the Republic's very survival and control of the central Mediterranean. But why is the young Macedonian sovereign setting his sights on Italy now? And above all, is Rome ready to face this new threat from the east? By the mid-3rd century BC, the Adriatic is a turbulent sea, plagued by Illyrian pirate raids and targeted by the expansionist ambitions of powerful nations. After defeating the Illyrian queen Teuta in the wars of 229 and 219 BC, Rome established military outposts at Dyrrhachium and Corfu, its first footholds in the Balkans, crucial to defending Brundisium. Meanwhile, Greece is shaken by the social war. Ascians, Aetolians, and Macedonians battle until the Peace of Naupactus in 217 BC leaves the young King Philip V with an almost untouched army and, more importantly, freedom to maneuver westward. Here enters Demetrius of Pharos, a former Roman ally. Pursued by Roman ships, he frees Tapella and persuades Philip that the real prize is not Sparta or Athens, but the Adriatic Sea. With Macedonian support, Illyrian pirates resume their attacks on the Apulian coast. Rome quickly realizes that its fate will be decided on those treacherous waters. At the start of the conflict, the opposing forces display sharply contrasting resources. Rome controls the entire Italian peninsula up to the Arno and Rubicon rivers, as well as Sicily, Sardinia, and Corsica, with several strategic bases along the Illyrian coast. The population under Roman rule approaches 4 million. According to the 210 BC census, around 400,000 Roman citizens are fit for military service. Between 6 and 8 legions are engaged against Hannibal in Italy, so at most, Rome can dispatch 2 legions to the Adriatic front, supported by 40 Quinqueremes anchored at Brundisium. The Kingdom of Macedonia, ruled by young Philip V, stretches from the Pindus Mountains to the Nestus River, including Thessaly and part of Thrace, with around 1.5 million inhabitants. Philip commands a phalanx of 25,000 soldiers, 4,000 Thessalian cavalrymen, and more than 10,000 light Illyrian fighters. He also has about 100 small vessels called Lembi, ideal for swift coastal operations. The Aetolian League is a confederation occupying the mountains and valleys of central and eastern Greece, with about 500,000 inhabitants. It fields about 10,000 light troops specialized in skirmishes, but has limited cavalry. Among Rome's naval allies, Pergamon, with fewer than 300,000 inhabitants, provides 25 triremes and funding, while Rhodes, a mercantile island state of about 60,000 people, contributes 12 Liburnians, agile ships ideal for fighting pirates.
Did you know that most people who watch our documentaries aren't subscribed yet? If you enjoy animated maps and history, join our community. Leave a like and subscribe so you never miss the next episodes.
216 BC. On the banks of the Ofonto, Hannibal destroys about 50,000 Roman legionnaires at Cannae. The worst defeat since the Gallic invasion. To prevent a collapse in morale, the Senate issues an unusual decree: public mourning limited to 30 days, and a total ban on mentioning the word Cannae in assemblies. Meanwhile, it lowers the conscription age to 17, promises freedom to thousands of enlisted slaves, and imposes extraordinary tributes on its allies. In southern Italy, loyalty falters. Capua immediately joins the Carthaginian side in autumn 216, while Tarentum and Syracuse remain uncertain for years, only siding with Hannibal after complex internal upheavals. As Rome rebuilds its legions, Philip V of Macedonia assesses how to take advantage of the Mediterranean chaos. In the summer of 215, Carthaginian envoys reach Pella. Sources speak of a secret pact with 8 clauses. Carthage recognizes Macedonian dominion over Greece and Illyria, while Philip promises to disrupt Roman trade and, if possible, open a front on the Italian coast. Rome responds by sending praetor Marcus Laverius Livinus, who gathers 40 Quinqueremes at Brundisium, burns Illyrian ports, and discourages any Macedonian invasion attempts. In 211, during a patrol near the mouth of the Aeos, a Macedonian bireme is captured. On board, 5 encrypted letters addressed to Hannibal provide the first material evidence of the secret pact. Polybius considers it genuine and potentially decisive. Some modern scholars, however, see it as a bluff, noting that Philip never sent substantial troops and launched only light ships, unfit to counter Roman Quinqueremes. In any case, the episode turns a local conflict into a broader Mediterranean scenario, officially opening the Adriatic front of the First Macedonian War. (215 BC). Immediately after the agreement with Carthage, Philip V launches the First Macedonian naval offensive in the Adriatic. With around 100 Lembi, small, light galleys with 30 to 40 rowers per side, he swiftly sails up the Illyrian coast and occupies Lissus, a strategic port between northern pirate bases and Epirus. The attack catches Rome unprepared. The garrison is expelled, and the warehouses are instantly turned into Macedonian operating bases. Reinforced by the support of Demetrius of Pharos, Philip advances on Apollonia, but the siege fails due to a lack of siege engines and, above all, the arrival of the Roman fleet under praetor Marcus Laverius Livinus from Brundisium. 40 Quinqueremes, large ships with over 100 rowers, high hulls, and reinforced rams. Facing a vastly superior opponent, the Macedonians retreat, leaving part of their spoils behind. Livinus continues, retakes Oricum, and establishes a mixed garrison of Italic and loyal Illyrian troops, blocking Philip's passage through Epirus. He then transforms Corfu into a permanent base, useful for monitoring all Macedonian movements between the Adriatic and the Gulf of Ambracia. The Macedonian Lembi, more agile, reaching 10 knots, can easily beach themselves to escape pursuit. Quinqueremes, on the other hand, require deep waters but unleash a devastating ram strike. Thus, the clash remains asymmetric. Swift raids and sudden retreats for the Macedonians, control of routes and strategic straits for Rome. (211 BC). To ease its military burden in the Adriatic, Rome signs an agreement at Leucas with 3 key allies. The Aetolian League provides light infantry and cavalry. King Attalus I of Pergamon offers money and triremes, while Rhodes contributes the most experienced fleet in the Aegean. In return, Rome covers expenses and coordinates strategy. Thus is born the Republic's first great, low-cost coalition. The Aetolians launch an immediate attack. From central Greece, they descend into Thessaly, sacking Tricca, Lamia, and villages near Phalsalis, seizing livestock, grain, and prisoners. The loot funds allied troops. A hoplite receives 1 obol per day, a cavalryman 3. An obol is worth about 0.7 Roman denarii, enough to buy up to 3 kilos of grain on the Athenian market. Rome supplies the pay, Misthophoria, by sending silver and grain via Corfu. When Aetolia's treasury runs dry, the island of Aegina is ceded to Pergamon for 30 silver talents. Attalos thus gains a strategic base opposite Athens. Rome approves as the Pergamene presence pins down the Macedonian fleet in the Gulf of Corinth. Philip V responds by avoiding direct clashes. He strengthens coastal garrisons and installs a network of signal fires. Towers spaced roughly 30 kilometers apart, stretching from Olympus to the Sporatus. A message can cross the entire arc from Pindus to the Aegean in under 20 minutes. It's kind of an ancient optical telegraph, described by Polybius. Fast, cheap, and hard to sabotage. The Greek front thus becomes a proxy war. No side gains lasting territory, while both increase taxes, hire mercenaries, and slowly wear themselves out in a draining economic stalemate. (208 BC). After 3 years of minor clashes, the armies once again confront each other in Thessaly. Between Tricca and Lamia, Philip V deploys around 12,000 Macedonian phalangites and local levies. Opposite them, Aetolians and a few Roman cohorts, led by Praetor Publius Sulpicius, count on Cretan archers and light cavalry. 2 battles, in 208 and 207, are fought at the fords of the Peneus River without decisive outcomes. Neither side risks a frontal engagement, and the front remains frozen. Meanwhile, Rome shifts its main effort to Spain against Hasdrubal and withdraws an entire legion from Greece, leaving fewer than 6,000 men on the field, replaced by mercenaries and funded through a new 5% tax on trade at the port of Ostia. To maintain pressure, the Roman fleet conducts swift raids in the Peloponnese, burning storage sites and shipyards from Gythium to Corinth, thereby cutting the timber supply for Macedonian triremes. The worst toll, however, is economic. It's estimated that between 210 and 206, the Macedonian treasury loses about 40% of its annual revenue, dropping from 1,200 to just over 700 talents. Philip is forced to melt down royal silverware and replace bronze shields with cheaper leather-covered models. The Aetolians also fall into crisis. Without Roman subsidies, plunder no longer covers the daily pay, Misthophoria, of their troops. With coffers now empty, in autumn 206, the Aetolians sign a separate peace with Philip, who can then focus remaining resources against Pergamon and Rhodes. The stalemate in Thessaly has drained massive resources without shifting political balances in the slightest. In 205 BC, after 10 years of fruitless fighting and rising costs, Rome and Macedonia signed the Peace of Phoenice in Epirus. The agreement has 4 main clauses. 1. Philip V withdraws all Illyrian garrisons. 2. Macedonia renounces naval operations in the Adriatic. 3. 20 Illyrian hostages are handed over as a guarantee. 4. Rome pulls its fleet from Corfu, agrees not to annex Greek cities, and dissolves the Aetolian League. On the surface, things revert to the situation of 215 BC. According to Livy, the treaty clearly favors Rome. The Senate gains maritime security and can now concentrate all efforts against Carthage. Modern historian Ernst Badian, however, sees it as a compromise advantageous to Philip. No territorial losses, end of the naval blockade, and precious time to rebuild army and fleet. Both interpretations are supported by the facts. Rome lost fewer than 4,000 soldiers, but spent over 2,000 talents to fund its allies. Macedonia saw a 40% revenue drop, yet retains the core of its kingdom intact. One detail reveals the Pact's fragility. The 20 Illyrian hostages, Rome's key safeguard, are secretly released after just 2 years, without any Roman response. The consequences follow swiftly. Free in the east, Rome sends 7 legions against Hannibal. Philip ravages the Cyclades, and it challenges the Hellenistic kingdoms. Ironically, the Peace of Phoenice lasts less than 5 years. In 200 BC, the Second Macedonian War begins. If you enjoyed the First Macedonian War, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next episode on the Second Macedonian War, when Rome and Philip clash again. Leave a comment. Who do you think really won the Peace of Phoenice? Share this video with your friends.